And good morning, everybody. Welcome, Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. Bruce, I want to thank you for the bedtime story last night. I had on Fox 31 watching you, and you put me straight to sleep.
I don't blame you. Believe me, I was half asleep myself. It was a very late, it was a long day, a late night, and an early morning. But the interesting thing is, I feel the best this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm ready to go. Ready to go.
At the risk of making it sound like I'm taking a shot at Deion Sanders, this would be the appropriate time for any coach, including Sean Payton, to say, do you believe now?
Well, yes, and it'll be interesting. I think the narrative is going to be, and I haven't seen anything yet, but I'm guessing the narrative is going to be the kind of the dissolving of the Chiefs, and it should be. I mean, they're 9 straight times winners of the AFC West.
Yeah.
So the story is going to be more about the dissolving of Chiefs Kingdom than it is the rise of the Denver Broncos. But who cares? What difference does it make? The Broncos did what they needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And as Nuke LaLoosh would like to say, they pronounced their presence with authority. They did it with authority, and it was a very pleasing win for Broncos Country.
Well, this is a great time to be a sports fan, so make sure you have your favorite sports bar, mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill. You can find them in the DTC Highlands Ranch and Parker. Every seat is a great seat in the house. The menu is just outstanding. Over 10 burgers to choose from, all different styles. I mean, what you want, they will likely have there. All different types of sauces for wings. Love their Philly cheesesteak, egg rolls. Brussels sprouts are great as well. It's just a great menu. And again, the bar was founded by Judson and Jeremy, 2 big sports fans who developed a sports bar that looks like the type of sports bar that you would do yourself. Walk in there, see exactly what I'm talking about. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill. You can find them in the DTC, Highlands Ranch, and Parker. Time now for the lead.
The lead is presented by Sasquatch Casino, a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Well, let's just start with this. When Harrison Buckner missed the extra point, all I thought was, we potentially have the Giants game all over again, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Potentially.
Then, if you truly believe in fate, and I'm not someone who will say that I do find it kind of ironic. I find it interesting and almost chilling that now for the second time this season, something has happened that seems sort of extraordinary or extraordinary. Let's go back to the game in which Demaryius Thomas was posthumously put into the Ring of Fame. What happened in that fourth quarter? The Broncos score a pair of 8-point touchdowns. His number was 88. They scored 33 points in the fourth quarter. Demaryius Thomas passed away at the age of 33. Now let's fast forward to yesterday's game. 1 year ago, Broncos lost in KC because of a blocked field goal. On that drive in which the Broncos set themselves up to win it, Nix hit Sutton on a 13-yard pass on third down on what would have been that game-winning drive with 1 minute and 53 seconds to play. Like clockwork, yesterday, Broncos driving for the game-winning drive. Nix hits Sutton, 2:05 to play. Kind of close, right? 20-yard pass, 3rd and 15. And that was the game-winning drive. Just for fun, let's just throw in that Will Lutz hit a 35-yard field goal yesterday. And last year missed a 35-yard field goal. It just seems like the stars are aligning, at least for this regular season, to win games. We will see about the playoffs, but it feels like somebody is up there,
having fun
strings to make sure that things go the Broncos' way, and it's not to take anything away from the Broncos. But the parallels are chilling.
They're very entertaining. It entertains me. you still have to execute and put yourself in positions to win. And then when you are in those positions, be able to execute well enough to win. I think that's the big difference with this football team. A year ago, they weren't in a position. Well, they were almost in a position to do this. Yesterday, they came strong. They were strong for 60 minutes. Yes, there were. You and I talked about this last week. We can get into the minutia of it, and that's for Sean Payton to do it, to get into the weeds of how this game was won, the things that they need to clean up. It's not for you and me, because the Broncos won a game. They won a game that we were talking about. They needed to win for lots of different reasons. But more than anything, the continued belief in what they have been able to do this season and what they feel like they will continue to be able to do. I think that that's a powerful message to a football team that didn't have its best defensive player, its leading tackler, its arguably best offensive player, certainly their best running back. And we're playing a team that essentially was fully healthy and was playing in a game that they desperately needed to win. Not needed to win, desperately needed to win. And the Broncos were able to win the football game by making plays when they had to. It was a remarkable performance by a football team that's continuing to mature and continuing to build confidence right before our very eyes. And I find it interesting, and I used this term last night, that they won last night in the very manner that people have bitched and complained and griped and moaned about the way that they've won games this year. You know what? Middle finger salute to all of those people. They're 9-2 and 2 games clear in the AFC West.
A lot of guys in the locker room were defiant after the game.
Yep.
Nobody believed in us. Look at the way we win. I know it's not pretty. You know, the term winning ugly was coined by the 1983 Chicago White Sox. I know this because this was my childhood growing up, watching that team, and they won in the ugliest of fashions. Multiple errors, it felt like, per game, yet they were still winning. Right. But I want to go to something that Jonathan Cooper said after the game, and I'm taking his quote out of context, but in theory, this is what he meant. He said, who are we scared of? Who are we afraid of? Who should we be afraid of? I don't think he could have said that 24 hours ago. Now he can, because the boogeyman was the Chiefs. And even though the Chiefs are 5-5, and we will see if they make the playoffs, and yes, there are teams that have better records and might be better than the Chiefs. Listen, when you look at who the Chiefs have lost to, they've lost to Jacksonville. They've lost to the Bills. 2 teams they might be fighting for a tiebreak in order to get a wild card. But the bottom line is this. The Chiefs have been the bully on the block for a long time. The Broncos, no matter how they got this win, they desperately needed it to feel like, okay, who can beat us now? And, oh, by the way, they beat both teams that went to the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty impressive resume on its own.
Yeah, it really is, and still two relevant teams. Although the Chiefs at 5-5 now are in a very interesting position that they pretty much have to go no worse than 5-2 to at least have a chance. 6-1 will probably get them in the playoffs, and
yep.
They could go 6-1, and it's not out of the realm. But the Broncos were able to do something or other in the last 8 minutes of that game that you just don't see very often. And that is Patrick Mahomes' swing and miss. Whiff. 2 3-and-outs, consecutive 3-and-outs with the football and a chance to come back and take a lead. First to break a tie game and then come back. And he wasn't able to do it. And not only was he not able to do it, he went 3-and-out. Yeah. And the Broncos were able to get the ball back in times when they absolutely needed to have it. And then Bo Nix went ahead and was Bo Nix in the fourth quarter, which, by the way, you can almost now feel like you can set your watch to it.
If there is one thing that is true about great quarterbacks, even they can get rattled.
Yep.
I have watched enough Patrick Mahomes outside of the Chiefs playing the Broncos twice a year. I probably watch the Chiefs at least 8 times a year.
Oh, yeah.
Very rarely do I see Patrick Mahomes get rattled. We saw that happen in the Super Bowl last year. We saw that happen in the Super Bowl against Tampa. And there were moments in yesterday's game in which Patrick Mahomes looked rattled. Now, here's the irony. I wrote that in my notes, and then on the next play, he chucks one downfield for a huge gain, and I'm thinking, maybe I wrote that a little bit too soon. He did connect on that play. Listen, the guy's a bigger receiver. Mahomes threw it perfectly. But even after that play, the Broncos defense made Patrick Mahomes look mortal.
Even when the Chiefs had a moment. And by the way, their best offense last night were pass interference calls. I mean, frankly, and I'm not trying to diminish who the Chiefs are. I have tremendous respect for the Kansas City Chiefs, for Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Kelsey, what they've been able to do. It speaks volumes for itself. But they were stymied most of the night again by Vance Joseph's defense. We talked about this, that in his last 3 starts previous to yesterday, Patrick Mahomes had only averaged 14.5 points. Well, he was better yesterday. He got to 19, but their best play was pass interference, was throwing deep and getting pass interference calls. They weren't able to sustain things against this defense. And this is the thing that I thought was really impressive about that defense, was just their perseverance. So they give up a PI, but what would they do? They'd bow up, instead of just, floundering and giving up a touchdown, they'd force a field goal or whatever the case. They kept playing. And that's the way that this defense is designed. We're going to be aggressive. There are going to be times when we get called on things. We'll live with it if we have to, but we've got to be good enough to overcome our own issues. They had some of those issues yesterday, and they were still good enough and stalwart enough to take care of their business. It was remarkable.
You and I talked about it on Friday, and I said there's going to be one of 2 narratives coming out of this game. The first one will be, if they win, this Broncos team is for real. Doesn't matter how they win. If they lose, they're just not ready for prime time. And they had to win this game, no matter what. There was not going to be any type of moral victory at all. But as we sit here right now, and it's only because the Broncos have played an extra game, they are currently the number 1 seed in the AFC. And that's because they played one more conference game than the New England Patriots. With that, has your opinion changed at all about this team in the last 24 hours? Do you think the national perception has changed at all? And what do you think people in Kansas City think about the Broncos now?
Well, I already saw a headline out of the Kansas City Star. Officials may have missed a call on. Let's not go down. Let's not go down that rabbit hole, because, by the way, I've got every single thing in that game that I marked everything. There are probably 6 or 7 plays where I was like, probably. That's a Chiefs call, but I'm not. Let's not go there.
Hey, Bruce, listen to me. Chiefs fans complaining about the refs is as rich as Augustus Gloop from Willy Wonka complaining his mother doesn't feed him enough candy.
Yeah. There you go.
As he falls into the chocolate river and gets shot up the tube.
Yeah. No, I thought the Broncos would win. Said so on this show. Even gave you a score. I think it was 24-20. Didn't miss by much.
I gave you a partial score.
You gave me
was
20.
Broncos.
You were right there.
I
That's
was.
right.
I gave a George Carlin Broncos 20.
Broncos 20. I thought that I just thought that it was I thought it was the next. I will say this. It was a bigger step forward than another game would have been, even winning in that manner. The Chiefs represent something different. Obviously, winning the game in Philadelphia when they were 4-0, and they did it in the fourth quarter, the value of that game was pretty self-explanatory. This game yesterday was very much the same way. We talked about this last week. From a standpoint of records and where they were in the division, it was a far more important game for the Chiefs. But from a standpoint of what the Broncos needed to prove to the Chiefs, to the NFL, to those out there, in the national media, but more than anything to themselves,
Bingo.
To get this win in the way that they did it, I think has the same kind of residuals that will take them through the last part of the season that the Eagles win took them through the early part of the season.
This is what I am concerned about, and we'll see. I'm not trying to pretend like the sky is falling. I just hope they're not in a situation, if they make the playoffs. Listen, they have a bye week. They have two very winnable games coming right out of the gate.
Right.
They should be 11-2, barring a collapse, and that should clinch a spot, period. They should be a playoff team just by those two games. Forget about the Final Four, in which they're playing three teams that are currently in the playoffs.
Right.
And right now the Chiefs are not. I had an interesting conversation with a very, very good friend of mine who's a big Chiefs fan. And I called him after the game, not to talk about the game, but what I said to him was, what was the talk leading up to the game, and what do you think of the Broncos now? And he said to me, and this is a quote, and I was like, wow. He said he believes Chiefs fans are talking about the Broncos in their living room right now, meaning Sunday night. They are also talking about their own team, being dangerously close to missing the playoffs. But my buddy, who, again, big fan, talked about it with his coworkers all week. Like, this is a really good defense. This is a really good team. We might actually lose this game. And then said on Christmas, we're going to be showing up to that game as fans. Like, the Broncos aren't the pushover that they used to be. This is a real football team that we are playing, and it's no longer walking all over the division on Christmas when these two teams match up again.
I had a conversation with a friend of mine yesterday at the stadium before the game, who happens to be a part of the Chiefs radio network. And we were just chatting about my perception of the progress that's being made by the Broncos. And my statement to him was, I think this game is a 50-50 game, but here's what I will tell you. The Broncos are here to stay. And I said this. I said, from ownership to coaching to roster, they are going to be a problem. And if it's not this year, it's going to be next year and in the years to come, because they have people in this franchise now that know how to do it, that do it right, and that they thirst for winning, from ownership right down to the last guy on the practice squad. This is a franchise that is going to have to be dealt with. It's going to be a real problem. And he could see it. He could see it enough from the outside looking in to say, yeah, I think that is a growing perception right now. And that's a next level perception, because as you and I know, you've got to be able to say that about your ownership. When you've got really good ownership like that, these are the types of things that are possible. So I thought it was a performance by a Broncos team that needed it, not necessarily for confirmation, but that just needed to kind of, I mean, it'd be Don Quixote and his windmill. It'd be, you got to slay the dragon. You got to kill the wicked witch of the West. Fill in whatever analogy you want to use. They needed it for that reason, and they got it.
Coming up after the break, we know Alex Singleton's coming back. We know Patrick Surtain is going to be coming back. We know J.K. Dobbins is not coming back. And the Broncos are very light in that room. How much of a concern is this moving forward? I know we should be talking about this big win, and we have, and we will continue to do it during this show, rest of the week, going into the next game against the Commanders on Sunday Night Football, 2 weeks from yesterday.
Right.
But honestly, watching the Broncos run the ball, sorry, I'm not trying to rain on anybody's parade. What do the Broncos do about their running back room? That's next.
Ferguson's Heating and Cooling is the best in Denver, and their customers agree. Ferguson's has 165 5-star Google reviews, and here's one from Betsy. Highly professional, prompt, and honest. I switched to Ferguson's when I became aware my former company was trying to sell me a whole new system I didn't need. Ferguson's is an honest, working, family-owned business that'll give you a fair price, the highest quality parts and equipment, and they always show up on time. You can trust the Ferguson family like you trust your own family. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. All their locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook, great hangout bar, great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. They are the sports bar.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. Don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corn bake. Man, you got to try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Here's another great promotion from Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk. On December 13th, it's their annual holiday auction for a pair of Super Bowl tickets, tools, jewelry, electronics, toys, and kitchen appliances. Earn auction currency with every locked-up jackpot, players' points, or a daily cash drawing. There's so many ways to earn currency, and the more you play, the more you'll be able to bid and win what you want at their auction. So get up to Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos and start stacking your auction currency today.
And welcome back. Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. You can leave your glasses on. It makes you look smarter.
No, I don't need them. I don't need them. I was looking at something or other during the break, but I don't need them.
Time now for What's Trending.
What's Trending is presented by Ferguson's Heating and Cooling. Your family should trust the Ferguson family for all your heating and cooling needs, and you'll see why they have over 165 5-star Google reviews. Make an appointment today at fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
You can make the case yesterday's game went right to script with what we've seen for the majority of the season. Broncos win a close game. They do it in the fourth quarter. I believe Bo Nix has 8 fourth-quarter comebacks over his entire NFL career, And that is the most, I believe, for any quarterback in his opening 2 years in the league.
Right.
With that, far be it from me to give advice to Sean Payton. Okay. But this is what he needs to be working on during the bye week. Stand in front of a mirror if he needs to and spit out those play calls as quickly as you can. Because when they scored that touchdown, the plays seemed to be getting in faster. This is what the Broncos, I think, need to practice moving forward. Not plays, breaking the huddle at 15 seconds to go on the play clock. And give Bo Nix the ability to read that defense. Tony Romo, who I think is a terrific analyst. I don't get the hate for Romo. I don't get the hate for Collinsworth. These guys know what they're talking about.
Sure.
Okay? With that, Romo kept saying it over and over again. You got to break the huddle. You got to get up to the line, not with 10 seconds, but with 15 seconds. Yes, some of the plays don't always work, and I get it. But when the Broncos play tempo, and that's something that Bo Nix needs, that's what they need to work on. Not the plays. Getting ready to do the play.
Well, I mean, I would imagine that this is the foundation of the.
Am I off on this?
No,
because by the way you looked at me, it seems like you think.
I'm thinking about this. I think that I think the foundation of these buys are get the guys away from football. They're going to do that. They're going to be out of the office literally for about a week, and they'll reconvene and get back after things next week. For a coaching staff, elements of a coaching staff anyway, self-scouting is the next level of that foundation. What are we doing right? What can we do better in? And what do we need to do better? So these are all things that Sean Payton is pretty introspective. And I think that, I'm sure that these are things that they'll be working on. Up tempo seems to be something that works well for this offense and for Bo Nix. They were up tempo. Sean said it himself. They worked on a set of 3 or 4 plays that were up tempo. And sometimes it's the change of pace that makes it successful. You can't run up tempo all the time because you wear out an offensive line and you got to worry about your defense being on the field all the time. So there's a happy medium that you've got to find.
Yeah, but there's a difference, Bruce. Yeah. There's a difference between doing what the Bills did with Jim Kelly.
Right.
Or what other offensive coordinators like a Mouse Davis did with the run and shoot, where it's run as many plays as you can.
Right.
Like Loyola Marymount with their fast break offense.
Right. Yeah.
You don't have to run it that way. I'm not saying you shouldn't huddle. But what made Peyton Manning great as a quarterback? He had 10, 15 seconds to just stand there and look at the defense. Don't let the other team substitute. You don't have to run back to the line of scrimmage like it's a 2-minute warning. You can lollygag there if you want to. Okay? Call a couple plays if you need to. If you're at home, call audibles at the line of scrimmage. But get up there and stop breaking the huddle with 10, 9, 8 seconds to go in the play clock. That's where you're not doing Bo Nix any favors.
And that may well be. I mean, that's
and then throw in the personnel packages that slow things down.
I didn't. Obviously, I wasn't able to listen to the national broadcast. I felt like their pace was actually pretty good yesterday.
It was, but that's what they need to work on. Now, not even, it sounds nuts. You don't even have to work on the plays. Just work on getting the call in and getting up to the line of scrimmage and give yourself time to make adjustments if necessary. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. That would seem to be something that you would want for your team. Give them more time, give your quarterback more time. So we'll see how they come out of the break with it. I think that they're constant. I thought offensively they were pretty good yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, I really did. I thought that they produced. They were over 300 yards of total offense. They scored 22 points against the 7th-ranked defense in the NFL that had been giving up 17 points a game. I thought that there was much more rhythm in the offense, even in the absence of a running game, which I would agree with you. They did not have a good running game. They had barely enough of a running game, and I mean barely enough of a running game, to kind of keep them a little bit honest, just a little bit honest. And I thought that they were able to run the ball a little bit later when they needed to be able to run the ball. So the cumulative effect still was somewhat successful, but looking at it from a 60-minute perspective, they did not run the ball well. They did better when they had to, and that's kind of what you want. But on the other hand, you're still trying to build an offense that can live well for you in the next 6 games down the season stretch.
If for the sake of argument, a trade was possible in the NFL right now, and it's not because the trade deadline has passed, would you say the Broncos should be seriously shopping for a bigger running back?
Well, I mean,
RJ Harvey, he's a nice player, he's a good player.
He's just not there yet. He doesn't explode to the hole.
Right.
Yeah, I'll say it before you do, but I think he's going to be okay. I really do think he's going to be okay, but he just is still a little indecisive, it looks like to me.
And that's okay, because he's a rookie.
Right.
But then you have Jaleel McLaughlin, who's been with this team for more than a few years, who hasn't played that much. And then you have Tyler Bidet. There isn't anybody in that running back room that scares you.
No.
Okay. I mean, RJ Harvey's biggest role was catching passes before yesterday's game. I'm just looking at this running back room and thinking, how are you going to establish the run?
Well, I mean, I will say this, and obviously trades are out. We're past the deadline, but Sean loves practice squads. And they went and got Deuce Vaughn off the practice squad.
He's even smaller than the other guys. I love Deuce Vaughn.
Yeah,
K-State guy.
Yeah, and he's very capable, but he's probably not what they're looking for at this particular moment in time. So, we casually say, well, the running backs are a dime a dozen. Well, we're going to find out, because I think if there is someone out there that they deem can help them on a practice squad, they will make a move. I do. I think that they probably will.
Let's talk about 2 young wide receivers. Number 1, well, let's start totally positive, at least for me, which is Pat Bryant. And this guy is taking huge steps, one step at a time. This guy, to me, is as reliable as Vele and Tim Patrick ever were. And he's a terrific blocker. This guy is going to be a player.
I think he already is.
I
think he already is, Eric.
When I say player, I'm not suggesting. Well, it depends on what your definition is of that.
Yeah.
Do I think he's a Pro Bowl player? Maybe not.
Not at this point, right? Yeah, I hear.
But my point is, he is as reliable as it gets. On the flip side, with Franklin, he is a box of chocolates, isn't he?
He is, man. He really is. He's
like Ashley Lally was so many years ago when you covered the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Where I felt like Ashley Lally would make one big catch a game and then would have one big drop a game.
Yeah, the drop that he had to continue a drive.
2 of them.
Yeah.
He had two catches that should have been catches.
Well, the long one in the first series would have been a hell of a catch. That was a damn well thrown ball by Bo Nix. And that was that throw was a really positive sign for me, that it was like, man, there was just enough air under it. It was right there. he might have been able to make that play. And then I think he peeled one off to Cortland Sutton on that drive for like 20 yards or something or other. And it was like, okay, he's in a good early rhythm.
Are you talking about the 3rd and 15, or are you talking about later in the game?
No, I'm talking about in the very first series, he hit, in fact, the throw after Franklin. So they go deep. They stretch the defense in man, and they go deep. They had a chance on that play. It was so close, and Franklin couldn't make the play. But then they came back, and on 3rd and 11, found Sutton for 21, and it was another really good throw. And then they went down and ended up getting the field goal. They got to the red zone. Wish they could have gotten one of those 2 early trips to the red zone in the end zone, but they came away with 6 points, and every point in this game obviously meant something. So, yeah, I would agree with you with Troy Franklin. There are, in every game now, there are moments that you look at him and say, damn, I'm glad they've got this guy. And then there are moments where it's like, dude, catch the ball.
Don't you think when they eventually hit the playoffs, every time the ball's in the air to him, you're going to be holding your breath?
I don't know if I'm at full hold my breath. I thought the catch that he made over his shoulder, maybe the best throw of the day that Knicks made was in the 3rd period when it was 6-6, and they got him on a go along the sideline, and Knicks just put an absolute laser. And Franklin was, it could not have been a better throw and catch. He does those kinds of things, and he has an ability to separate. And that's one thing that this receiving core doesn't always do a great job at.
Right.
They've got good receivers, and they're all very capable and can be even better than capable. But Franklin is the one guy that can create space with his route running and with his speed.
With that, at times it looks like Troy Franklin is playing out there with boxing gloves on.
Yeah.
And that is my segue into Riley Moss after the game said, it looks like I'm going to be practicing with boxing gloves because of all the PIs that he's getting. I don't want to say, are the refs out to get Riley Moss? I'm not going to say that they're keeping an extra set of eyes on him to call a PI. The PIs are legit. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I thought both were yesterday.
I thought both calls were good yesterday. I really did.
You know, he's been taking a lot of those 84 yards worth of penalties on 2 PIs, and the other PI cost a pick 6.
Yeah, right.
And so have we? Listen, I love his moxie and how tough he is, and he wants to have a short memory. Is he becoming a liability?
No, because Pat Surtain's coming back, and
that means the ball's going to go his way even more.
Well,
yeah, well, right.
Maybe, but I'm not ready to go liability. I think Riley Moss. I love Riley Moss for the very reasons that you love him.
Yeah.
Toughness, moxie, unafraid, totally unafraid. He will guard anyone, anywhere on the field. He has no fear whatsoever. He has the awareness of knowing that he needs to practice with boxing gloves.
But I want you to think about something.
No, I know.
I want you to think about something. If you're an offensive coordinator, you have a double type of game plan on Riley Moss. Throw his way, because you might get a completion, like you'd say about any quarterback, but definitely throw the ball downfield, because it feels like these days there's a 50-50 chance you're going to get a PI call.
I think that's what the Chiefs did yesterday.
That's what everybody's going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, the scouting report on Moss is now there.
Yes, absolutely. And he has to continue to work on his skill set and his craft. And I think he has awareness. He has the coaching. This is something that he should be able to overcome. He's getting a load of traffic, and he's going to continue to get a load of traffic. He's going to have to be better in the moment. The good news is Jahdae Barron is making progress. Jaquan McMillan,
he was okay yesterday, just okay.
Just arguably the best defensive player on the field yesterday. I mean,
and you can make the case, Bruce. They drafted Barron to replace McMillan.
Yeah, you can make the argument, or they understood just how much depth they needed to have. And by the way, how good does that draft look now? That you've lost Pat Surtain for 3 weeks, but you've got a Jahdae Barron who had a moment last night. Almost, took one to the house, got called back, but he's making plays now.
Yeah.
He gives you other options. Look what they're doing with Jaquan now in their pressure package. He was the difference in that football game. You can make the argument yesterday, just getting there off the edge. So, and I get it. And I was I was a Travion Henderson guy. I mean, that's who I was pushing for, but I get it. It looked like a luxury pick at the time, but man, when you lose a guy like Pat Surtain, a guy that is such a difference maker and such a playmaker, and you're able to still survive because you have quality depth, and part of that quality depth is Riley Moss.
Throwing Chris Abrams drain too.
Right. He's been pretty damned good.
Yeah.
So, you give them a lot of credit, and you give Vance Joseph, who before our very eyes,
he can have the job that he wants.
I would think so. My God.
Teams are going to be falling all over him to be the head coach.
Yeah.
And, he was, I don't want to say blackballed to be a head coach, but when he left Denver, there were some things said about him as a head coach, what he was like, not so much how he dealt with players, because I think the players liked him, but I don't know if there was a high enough respect factor there for him. John Elway did not empower him to even hire his own coaching staff, but the Broncos are going to have to learn to live without Vance Joseph next year.
Yeah, probably so. I mean, why wouldn't you go after the guy with everything you've got to hire him? Now, the interesting thing is that there's no salary cap for coordinators. So what do? I mean, he wants to be a head coach again.
He's too young not to want to be.
And he should be a head coach again.
It's not like Vic Fangio, or it's, if I'm not a head coach, I'm fine.
Right.
He wants to be a head coach again. Yeah. And I don't blame him. And he's earned the right.
I couldn't agree more. And he's such a likable guy on top of everything. He's the kind of guy that you absolutely cheer for. Every single game, every single week, every single year, he's just a really good dude and a damn fine coach.
That's going to do it for us. Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. Make it the best possible day you can.